Hello everyone and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the brand new Netflix film, which I did actually get to see in theaters, called Army of the Dead, directed and produced and I think story by and shot by Zack Snyder. He did everything on this film during the entire lockdown because of the global pandemic that's happening right now. So this is a movie that I was actually kind of excited for, mainly because I do like Zack Snyder quite a bit as a person, and as a filmmaker he is so. I love Man of Steel, and his most recent cut of Justice League was awesome. I love that movie. I have a great review up for that as well. But I do think Zack Snyder as a storyteller can really struggle because his movies, in terms of the stories and the characters, can sometimes really be lacking. And I think some of the exceptions are Man of Steel and Justice League. Those are some of the exceptions. But, in terms of Batman versus Superman and some of the other movies that he's done are just really kind of thin in terms of character. And I think that is the story of Zack Snyder. Thin on character, great with visuals, and just visual storytelling in general, and action. He does a great job with action. I think that's the story for this movie. I think the actual characters and the plot is okay. It's paper thin, which is probably the most disappointing thing about this movie for me. But at the same time, it's a zombie heist movie. I have the poster up for Overlord because, I don't remember a single character in that movie, but I remember having a blast during it because it's a bonkers and crazy and fun, action-packed, bloody zombie fest essentially during World War II. And so this movie was that. It's a fun heist movie that has a bunch of zombies, and I think the thing that worked best for me in this film, which actually goes inside of the characters that I like most in this movie, were actually the zombies, which this is a thing that I've never said about a zombie movie, is the fact that I like the zombies most about it. And it's kind of odd because, like I said, this is the first time this has ever happened in a zombie movie. The zombies actually had some intelligence to them. I won't get into some, in-depth spoilers on this movie. This will be a spoiler for your review because it's not necessarily out on Netflix just yet. But it like the zombies were really well done in this movie because they had your normal type of run-of-the-mill zombies, like the World War Z type zombies, or I know it's technically vampires in I Am Legend, but it reminded me a lot of I Am Legend in that way. And what this movie was lacking was that Will Smith character to kind of get behind you, rooting for him the entire time. This movie had Dave Bautista, and he did a solid job with the material he was given, but he wasn't somebody you can root for. In terms of the main zombie in this movie that was kind of the leader of it all, I actually really liked his characterization, which is such an odd thing to say. Again, I have a hard time saying that, but yeah, my favorite character in this movie was the zombie, which is kind of bizarre. But yeah, like I said, Dave Bautista, he does his best. I did like his attempt at a relationship between him and his daughter. That's like the main character of this movie and the main conflict between the actual cast of this movie. And I think it has the beats and the moments, and those are there technically, and their performances were great. I do think Dave Bautista is a good actor, and I think that the more roles he gets like this, the better he's going to get at it. I loved his very small role in Blade Runner 2049, and of course he's great in the Guardians movies, but this is the first time I've seen him actually lead a movie. I know he was like the lead in My Spy, and I think he was in Stuber or stuff like that. I never saw those movies, but to see him as a lead role for the first time in this film, I actually do think he did carry the movie a decent amount. I just thought that storyline and that conflict between, him and his daughter was as thin as it could be. It was serviceable enough, but it still was thin. And that's what I could say about all the other, characters in this film. They had basic little setups in the very beginning. I think the first 15 minutes is phenomenal, by the way, which you can find on YouTube. And I think it's a similar story with Mortal Kombat. The first 15 minutes of that movie was great, and the rest of the movie just struggled with the characterizations of those people that they set up at the beginning. And so this movie had a similar take of that, but there was at least attempts of character arcs, and some of the characters I actually really liked. Omari Hardwick in this movie was phenomenal. He was my favorite character of the humans in this movie, and his relationship between this guy named Dieter was phenomenal. I loved their back and forth, and I think in terms of the comedy of this movie, most of it did fall flat for me, but that relationship between those two characters in particular was really, really funny. And Notaro was actually really great in this movie. I actually liked her a lot in this role, which is funny because all her entire role was shot in post-production because they had an actor that they wanted to replace because of various reasons. And so her entire role was shot in green screen and kind of dropped into the film, covering up another performance, and it was unnoticeable at times. Like, I think there's only one scene, the first scene she was in was kind of noticeable that it just didn't feel right, but for the rest of the movie I was looking for it, and I honestly could not tell for the large majority of the movie, where she's literally standing next to the rest of the cast, and she never met any of them. She never shot a single scene with Dave Bautista throughout this entire movie, yet they have quite a bit of scenes together, which is kind of insane, the fact that Zack Snyder was able to pull that off in post-production. And I actually did like her character as well. And so those were like the main characters that I did like. I did like Omari, Hardwick, Dave Bautista, Purnell, and Notaro. I liked all of their characters. Everybody else was just kind of in the background. There's of course this one guy there was two guys that were kind of like the douches of the group of this heist that they had to pull off. But you know, that's kind of run of the mill for a heist movie. In terms of heist movie, I think this movie's pretty mediocre. I don't think the heist was necessarily difficult, because I mean, you're breaking into Las Vegas and it's pretty much empty there besides the zombies, and so the actual heist itself, like getting into the vault and all that sort of things, was not the main conflict. The main conflict was that of the zombies, and like I said, I think the zombies were done very well. And getting to the action sequence of this movie, the action sequences, especially in the back half of this movie, in the first 15 minutes, were phenomenal. I loved when they're just going down at these zombies. And yes, it's super over the top. It's a zombie heist movie. What do you expect from a zombie heist movie directed by Zack Snyder? Yes, it is over the top. And yes, they have unlimited ammunition until it's, you know, story-wise they need to run out of ammunition. Other than that, they have unlimited ammo until it comes to the moments where they need to run out. But that's all besides the point, because it's a fun movie. It's a fun, entertaining thing with thin characters, with great action sequences, and a kind of slow second act. But overall, I did enjoy this movie. I don't think it's as good as I was hoping it would be. I think it's a fun watch. I think it's definitely worth watching on Netflix when it drops. I'm not really sure. It has the spectacle for theaters, but I think watching it on Netflix is perfectly fine if you guys don't have the option to see it in theaters. And so that is my review of Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead. What did you guys think of it? I do want to watch his remake of Dawn of the Dead, but unfortunately it's not streaming free anywhere, so I'd have to rent it. I wanted to watch it before I saw this one, but I did not get the chance. So what do you guys think of Dawn of the Dead and Army of the Dead? This sort of zombie movies that Zack Snyder has made, and what do you think of him as a filmmaker? I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts in the comments down below, as well as your thoughts on this movie overall. So thanks guys for watching this video. Subscribe to the channel. I just reviewed every single Saw movie in the entire series. I ranked them all in my last video, and I'm excited to do videos on A Quiet Place Part 2 and Cruella later next week. And I am still trying to get my brother to watch Invincible, so don't worry guys, I will hopefully have another Invincible review series with that as well. So thanks guys for watching this video, and I hope to see you all in my next one.